Yes, good afternoon, all of you. Yes, so I think we have discussed one case study yesterday. So write the second case study today. Okay. So write simultaneously that you are a manager in a company. Okay. And also simultaneously you are heading one project. In that project, obviously, some team members are there. Team members. Now there is information that one of the team member is Lady L. Okay, is a team member. Now some features has been given, like she is a star performer for a company or for your organization. Also some information is given that she is a workaholic. She is very punctual, etc. Now additional information is, for last few days, the mother of lady is not keeping well. Okay, the mother of lady is chronically ill. For this reason, Lady L has gone on leave for 2 months because the mother was not keeping well. So now the duration of 2 months came to an end, and therefore she is coming for the office. Now also the information is, there is no one except the Lady L to take care of mother. Okay. There is no support, and the Lady L was the only support for her mother. 2 months she took the leave. There has not been substantial improvement in the health of the mother. Now she is joining, but few things are here, that these days she is coming late for the office. Okay, and she is leaving early also. She is coming late for the office. She is leaving early. This is sometimes she is missing important meetings. Missing important meetings. Okay, because obviously the mother is there and leave is over, etc., etc. Now all those things, coming late, going early, missing important meetings, etc., everything is obviously putting a pressure or sort of a burden on colleagues, the team members. One among the member, okay, say put it as the colleague, on one particular day, when lady enters into the office, makes a remark. Okay, he's making one remark that women's places at home. Okay, making a remark that women's place is at home and she should not bother to turn to the office. Women's place is home and therefore she should not bother to turn to office. Okay, this is a remark he has put it. Now, I hope the case is clear. Okay, so manager, project, team members, etc. lady, and then this is a situation is happening, and the colleague's remarks. Now, right, you are a manager M in this case. Question 1, identify different ethical issues. Identify different ethical issues of the case. Identify different ethical issues of the case. And second is what course of action you will take, what course of action you will take to resolve the ethical issues. What course of action you will take to resolve ethical issues. Yes, take 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Everybody understood the case? Huh. Please repeat. Where were you? You are writing, okay. I'll briefly. You are a manager M, okay. You are heading one project. Obviously, in that project, there will be certain team members. One of the team member is Lady L. She is a very important person otherwise, very efficient, workaholic, punctual. Okay, these are the features. But because her mother is not keeping well, she took a leave of 2 months. Okay, she was absent from the organization, but now the leave got over. Huh? No, mother is not a team member. Okay, Lady L is team member. Okay, mother is not keeping well, therefore she took the leave. अरे ये लीव इसकी नहीं है, लेडी की लीव है, ठीक है. 2 मंथ खत्म हो गए, लेकिन देर इज नो वन टू लुक आफ्टर हर, एंड 2 महीने हो गए तो लीव भी खत्म हो गई. So she is coming late for the office, going early, missing meetings, etc. This thing is happening. So obviously this is putting a pressure on the team members. One day, one of the team member has said to her that women's place is at home and she should not come for the office only. Okay? So what are the ethical issues of the case and how you are going to resolve it? Yes, are you done? Yes, let's discuss. Hmm. 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 Okay. Huh. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. 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 Okay, fine. Fine, I'll again come to your answer. But okay, fine. There are some other, there are many more. Hmm. Be loud so that rest of the people also can hear. Hmm. 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 Yes. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Hmm. Personal concern team member का क्या है? Okay, fine, हाँ. ठीक है. Hmm. Efficiency of the work. Hmm. Yes, very good. Hmm. ठीक है. Yes, good. Hmm. Hmm. Resign. Okay. I- Okay, ठीक है. But fine. You have written on the right lines. If that would have been there, see, there must be financial constraint. That's why she is coming. If there would not have been financial constraint, she would have certainly stayed back home. Okay. But yes, you had good points in your answer. Hmm. Hmm. Good. Hmm. From ladies' point of view. Hmm. Stake. Hmm. ठीक है. ठीक है. Hmm. Hmm. Direct woman empowerment. हाँ ठीक है. Hmm. हाँ yes. Good. Hmm. Good. ठीक है. You have identified the problem. Okay, the lady is like facing the crisis, but then you have not been very flexible. What you have suggested, like you hire a team. देखो, efficiency तो यहाँ पे होनी नहीं चाहिए. Compromise. Just a second. Okay. So efficiency compromise नहीं होनी चाहिए. तुम्हारा problem है हमें समझ गया, लेकिन अब you hire, otherwise efficiency is very important. सो वेर इज द एक्शन? जो बोलते हैं ना, एम्पैथी दिखा दी, सिंपैथी दिखा दी, लेकिन देर इज नो एम्पैथी, कंपैशन एंड करस्पॉन्डिंग सम सॉर्ट ऑफ, यू हैव टू गो एन वन स्टेप और एक्स्ट्रा माइल इन दिस केस. ठीक है. दैट इज वन ऑफ द ऑप्शन. यस. व्हाट आर द न्यू पॉइंट्स? यस, यू कैन. हाँ, you can suggest some new points. Hmm? Okay, that is okay, fine. But See, two utopian options should not be there. Some practicality also has to be there. But yes, some sort of flexibility in. Yes, but the same thing will happen, right? The team members, every team member required to be present in the project. So basically the question is during the working hours there is no one. So how the team members are going to take care? Hmm. Yes, she can. If she could have, she would have done it. But yes. Huh. ठीक है. All right, all right. See the point? Yes. Hmm. Yes, that are being faced by any member. Yes, very good. Hmm. 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 Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. We will see that how to manage, but yes, that separate dimensions also has to be highlighted. Yes, anybody has to add anything, otherwise we can discuss any new things. Uh, uh, uh. Hmm. Okay. Okay, fine. In the long run, fine. Hmm. We haven't said that anything wrong. Yes, you can. Like, there can be different modus operandi, okay? I'll come to see the point, which is yes, let's now discuss the question. So, the first part of the question is what are the different ethical issues? Okay. Now, different ethical issues, you can here go for the stakeholder approach in order to identify different ethical issues at different stakeholders. In fact, three important one, that is a manager, Lady L. Mother is aspect which will be included in the lady, okay, and then team members and the colleagues, okay, team members and the colleague ka remark bhi. So first, start with the Lady L. What are the ethical issues at Lady L? Lady L, organizational duty or professional duty versus care ethics. So you can say that as a important member of team, okay, and an important employee of an organization, okay, she has a duty to like come to the office in time, okay, contribute to the office to the best of her capabilities in order to maintain the efficiency of office or organizational ethics. So that's about organizational part. But second, you can say that since she is the only one who should look after her mother, so obviously there is a sense of care ethics. Okay, she is a daughter and she is the only support. So that's a dilemma in front of her, that managing between the work and the personal life, or managing in between the organizational duty and the care with respect to the mother. This is the first issue from point of view of the Lady L. Second, from the manager's point of view, you can discuss. Like from the manager's point of view, obviously, one of the member of the first of all, you have to see that the whole focus is on this particular aspect. So on one side, there is a empathy, okay, that can be shown versus the efficiency of organization. Efficiency of organization. So both of them are his responsibilities. Okay, that showing an empathy towards the particularly the person in need, and secondly the efficiency of organization, that work should not be hampered. The project should be completed in time. Also, in fact, secondly, you can also say that there is he should also ensure or he should also maintain the impartiality and objectivity, in a sense that other team members should not feel that there is a discrimination against them, and there is a undue favor or concession that is extended to the lady. Because if you are doing so without the consent, without the knowledge of the team members, so in fact here the qualities of leadership also comes into play. Let me just write and then I'll explain. See, think of this way, that yes, there is no doubt that he has to show the empathy, and some sort of flexible arrangement has to be made for the lady L. Now, if he unilaterally takes the decision and extend some flexibility, say for example, flexibility, she can take a leave for some more days, and he tells the team member that we have to redistribute the work for 2 weeks or 1 week. Now, this is what we have discussed in case of a leadership. Okay, there's a command and obedience wala ho gaya. Okay, but what we have discussed is consensus orientation, democratic decision. So, empathy should be shown to the lady, but at the same time, the leader should make the other team members understand that this situation can happen to anyone, and therefore we need to show a solidarity with respect to the lady L, and something mutually agreed solution should be found out. Okay, any mutually agreed. Now this shows that you are not taking a decision unilaterally and imposing upon the members. In fact, every single team member is a stakeholder in whatever the decisions that is being taken, because it is going to affect them also. So consensus based decision, mutually agreed solution, decision should be taken, and then thing. Now the point here is, आपकी modus operandi बहुत ज़्यादा यहाँ पे check नहीं की जाएगी कि whether it is video conferencing, whether it is extending more leaves, whether etc. The only point is, as a manager, are you showing a flexibility when one of the colleague is in trouble? That's the point. Do you have a empathy? And again, if empathy is there, are you getting swayed away for her and then forgetting the other responsibility? That is also being shown, that whether you are able to manage. That empathy should not be something that it would put the other colleagues into the disadvantage. Okay, so there has to be a certain mutually agreed solution. So you can say that the qualities of leadership, such as consensus orientation, team leader, accommodating the different members of the team, okay, motivating the other members of the team, and asking them to extend the help to the others. So these are the aspects of leadership would be shown. Impartiality, because now fourth, you can, in fact, we have started talking about the course of action also. But here the point is empathy, impartiality, and the leadership. Then next is from the team members. Team members, again, team spirit. Okay, that is a value that will be looked from the point of view of the colleague. Okay, team spirit. And from this colleague, the fourth issue will be, that is fourth stakeholder, is that is a dignity of women at workplace, or value of women at workplace. Because making that remark is something which is uncalled for. We'll discuss about what are the course of action. So 4 ethical issues. From ladies' point of view, care versus professional ethics. From manager's point of view, again, empathy versus efficiency. Maintaining the objectivity and transparency into the decision and flexibility, showing the values of leadership. From team members' point of view, team spirit. And from the colleagues, this particular issue, that dignity of women at workplace. So these are the different ethical values. Now coming to the course of action. Now as a course of action, I have already explained this part, that is empathy in between. So empathy should be shown. That should be the first point, because she is a star performer and she is in the need and she is the only support. So empathy should be shown to her. Second is, if concession has to be made, it should be discussed among the team members and some mutually agreed solution should be taken, so that the team members should not feel that there is an undue concession given to someone. Third thing is, you have to have words with the lady also. counseling with the lady in a sense that whatever the concession is given, it is of temporary nature. Okay, why it is important to tell her that it is of a temporary nature, and sooner or later you have to find out certain alternatives. Why this is important? Yes, you cannot like extend for indefinite period of time. Otherwise, it will set a wrong precedence. Tomorrow, any member will stand and say that, okay, somebody is not feeling well back at home. Okay, this, and you have to also uphold the efficiency of organization. If it is an extended period of time, so you may not able to convince the team members also. So you have to let her know that this is a emergency. Because of out of emergency, some temporary arrangement is made for you. Okay, and you, sooner or later. So you can think of like whether you can think of some providing a health insurance or any kind of other arrangement which can be made in the benefit of her mother. Okay, that's the third point. Now, fourth point is with respect to this the colleague point. Okay, the colleague. The remarks, you can say that as a manager, I feel that these remarks are uncalled for. Okay. Now, the point of this is, although there is a sense of sexist remark and patriarchy because he's putting that women's place is at work, but you have to also understand the context in which the remark has been made. What is the context? There is a increasing in the burden, and there is a sense of getting overburdened, and therefore he is making a remark out of it. Now, how many of you are going to file an FIR on this? Is it required to file an FIR? Is it required to removed from the job? Yes, see, this is a mendable behavior. You have to identify which is something which requires a legal action, which is something which should require a persuasion, which is the thing which require a warning. Okay, so different kinds of, although this is also an uncalled behavior, but still this behavior can be mended, okay, through the persuasion and counseling. Counseling is, okay, you can say that you understand that there is a overburden, but this does not mean that it gives him a freedom to make a lewd remarks on the women. There is a democratic means of grievance redressal that you can come and complain that this is overburdening happening. But in any case, lewd remark or the sexist remark are uncalled for, and he should be even given the warning that if such things will be repeated in future, he will be removed from the job or he has to face any dire consequences of the same. So counseling should be done, and also he should be told that he should render an apology to the lady L. Are you understanding? So this is something which is a mendable behavior, although this is uncalled for, and it questions the dignity and the credibility of the women, but something which can be made through the course correction. Finally, fifth one, that as a point of a long term, that you know that people just take it casually and making such remarks. So maybe there's some gender sensitization seminar in the long run, so that employees should know that this organization stands very strong on the women values, and such remarks, okay, throwaway remarks, and or you can say that the casual remarks are not permitted at the workplace. Okay, gender sensitization seminar, something what he has said like telling the stories and etc. Something about he has touched upon the long term, so that such things should not happen in future. Have you understood? So this is how you have to write, first as a ethical issues, and second as a course of action from the manager's point of view. Now there are various ways of writing ethical issues. One is the stakeholder approach. Second is you can straightforward pick up the different values. Empathy as a value, care as a value. Like just a care ethics likha hai aapne. Lady has to show because she is there. The manager has to show care towards the lady because she is a flexible. The team member, one of the team members, so team spirit also that way. Then efficiency from point of view of lady is a member. Manager has to complete his task. The team members also required to show the efficiency. Then leadership as a quality you have to display from point of view of a manager. Then women values as a women value at a workplace. Then discuss about the colleague remarks. So either you can pick up the stakeholders and then discuss the issue, or you can pick up the different values and different ethical points and then discuss it. And this is how you have to write the answer. Is it fine? Okay. Now write the next one. One more. See, your answer should have different words, vocabularies that we have been using so far. Okay, it cannot be just a simple, straightforward, lacking the different values, etc. Somebody has asked that whether the ethical question, online query is there, should be written in the first person or using I in and every place. That is using I in every place. See, the thing is that whenever the question is asked, what is if you are a manager, etc., generally and ideally, the answer is written in third person. Like manager, if I am a manager, manager would do this, manager would do this, etc. That is called as writing in third person. That is generally the ideal way of doing it. That. But believe me, like in UPSC, it does not matter because what is your content of the answer that eventually will count. Whether you are writing I or whether you are writing he should have done this and that should have done this. Ultimately, you will get the marks based upon the content and how which different things you have discussed and what is your line of argument of the case, and not on the first and third person. But generally, it is written in third person. But it is easy to write in first person. So those who have a difficulty in writing in third person, do not worry about it. You can write straightforward in the first person as well. Okay? Now, one more case, थोड़ी सी similar भी है, but yet there are other points to be discussed here. Again, let's consider you are a manager M. Okay, or say for example, you are a head of the institute. Head of institute. Okay. Now, this is your startup company. Startup company in IT sector, let's say. ITES. Now the information is, there is again a person called Mr. A. In fact, he is the most important member of the company. Okay, that in a short span of time, okay, he is a star performer, and in a short span of time, he has helped the company to grow in leaps and bounds. Okay, startup company, the maximum growth of your company has happened because of this Mr. A. So he is the most indispensable person of your company. But however, he has a habit of sending indecent SMS to his colleagues, including the female colleagues. Okay, he has a habit of sending indecent SMS to his colleagues, including the female colleagues. Okay, this is the thing. Now, there is a certain additional thing. On a particular day, there is a lady, Mrs. X. On a particular day, there is a lady, Mrs. X. Obviously, Mrs. X is not wife. Okay, Mrs. E नहीं तो ये ऐसे लग रहा है नाम नहीं है, ये दूसरी ही wife, मतलब दूसरे की wife है. Mrs. X, she is coming to the head of the institution, looking visibly disturbed. Looking visibly disturbed, and she has come up with the resignation. Okay, putting the papers, she is meeting the manager or the head of the company, and the reason she is saying that on a particular day, the Mr. A tried to approach her and tried to touch her inappropriately during the working hours. Okay, during the official working hours, the Mr. A has made an inappropriate advances during the working hours, and therefore she seems to be visibly disturbed, coming to the head of the manager and tendering the resignation. Okay. Now write the question. As a manager M, what are the different alternatives? As a manager M, what are the different alternatives to resolve the case? What are the different alternatives to resolve the case? Second, evaluate merits and demerits. Evaluate merits and demerits of different alternatives. Evaluate merits and demerits of different alternatives, and write your final course of action. And write the final course of action that you are going to take. Okay. Now, leave aside this merit and demerit. Just identify all different alternatives, possible alternatives that you can think of. Okay, write all alternatives and then write your course of action, which one you are going to pick up. Merit and demerit, leave it aside. So all of you have understood case? सैंडल निकाल के मारने वाला ऑप्शन नहीं है, वो तो पहले होगा. Yes, just make alternatives. What are the all possible alternatives and the final course of action? Yes, are you done? Hmm? In fact, this case study was asked in UPSC 2013. Okay, 2013 में पूछा हुआ है case study. Yes, would like to answer. Hmm? Hmm. 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 What is this called as fire? Removing from the job and then take a legal action. Okay, which one you are going to? Uh, okay. Hmm. 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 Okay, fine, good. Okay, ठीक है, good. Let's see. ठीक है, he has made 4 options, and then he's going to take step-by-step approach. Okay, that is reform, then maybe resolving problem, and if it is not, then legal action. Hmm. Hmm. Like. Hmm. ठीक है. Hmm. Hmm. If he will be like removed outsted, okay, fine. Additional point. Huh. Hmm. 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 So so the person should be continued till the time inquiry give its report. Okay, fine. Okay. He has to say that yes, he can be an. See, that's why I say male are more feminist than female are more feminist. Hmm? Male are unnecessarily being blamed. Okay, he's thinking of all the women's. Thanks. Hmm. Yes, what do you think? How do you counter? Has he got the valid point? Hmm? Hmm. See, when we are saying fire, somebody has used the word fire. See, there can be a three possibilities. I'll come in detailed discussion later. See, three possibilities in punitive action. Let's talk about reform and rest of the things later. In case of if punishment and the legal action has to be taken, okay, obviously we understand that inquiry committee has to be there, okay, which go for the impartial and objective analysis of what has been the case. Okay, depending upon the objective and impartial investigation, if he is guilty of the crime, he will be removed, and if he is not, he will be continued to be a member of a company. But now, what I'm saying is, in this particular punitive action, there are three possibilities. Like remove him immediate effect, set up an inquiry committee, and then take again action. Action in a sense that if inquiry committee says that he is innocent, so he can be again reinstated back. Okay. So remove him with immediate effect, simultaneously send an inquiry committee, and when the inquiry committee's report will be out, take an action. If he is already guilty, then other legal course will be taken, and if he is not, he will be reinstated back. Second possibility can be you can suspend him, take an inquiry committee, and then take an action. So rather than removing, just suspend him. Third can be continue him, because the one of the legal principles says that unless proven guilty, he is an innocent. So continue him, set up an inquiry committee simultaneously, and then take action. Now, which one of the three is best and why, and which two are not? If at all you are choosing one, why two should not be chosen? Second. See, the thing is that removing him immediately again is not a justice towards him because due process has not yet followed. So that will be a too harsh. One of the proportionate theory of justice, like or the principle is unless proven guilty, you cannot put him to the disadvantage. So immediate removal is not following the due process of law and putting him to the absolute disadvantage. Okay, so that's why it cannot be. Why he cannot be continued then till the time inquiry? He is an innocent. Why this should not be the option? Okay, that is one. Hmm. No, more than that. See, the thing is, continuing, there are two, three things here. First of all, he might influence the inquiry. Okay, continuation will influence the inquiry. Second is, now he has on his head allegation of sexual harassment at work, which is a very, very grievous allegation. And with this grievous allegation, he has lost the credibility to efficiently function. So there will not be a possibility. So such a severe case requires some sort of an action. So some sort of action cannot be complete removal without following due process. But even he cannot continue. He cannot continue. There are two demerits here. The most important one is obviously the crime. The crime is grievous, and with such an allegation, he lost the credibility. So it affects the functioning. And second is he might influence the inquiry committee also. So therefore, it will not be an impartial. So this is also gone. This is also gone. You should suspend him with immediate effect so that it shows a strong message. Also, it help in conducting the inquiry. Since it is a grievous offense, so some sort of action is taken plus impartial inquiry, and impartial inquiry के बाद जो आ जाएगा ये है. That is in legal action. Somebody has talked about that is this should be the end. First, we will uh, do something like reconciliation, reform, and etc. Yes, anybody has any other point? I'll discuss in detail all the things. Yes, any other additional points anybody has to extend? Hmm? Yes? No? Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So how much fine? Can fine, see, if there's a hefty fine, let's say, a very hefty fine, he is ready to pay, then? Okay. ठीक है. Okay, let's discuss now one by one. Yes, any other? Okay, fine, very good. That's a long term. Last point also can be written. क्या मतलब? What effort should be taken? When you are saying effort should be taken, so you have to like जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन एक जो बताया था, रिवाइजिंग द कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, व्हाट शी हैज सेड, विशाखा गाइडलाइंस एट द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, सेक्सुअल हैरासमेंट एट वर्क प्लेस, जो भी आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल गाइडलाइंस है, दैट सच थिंग शुड नॉट हैपन. रिविजिटिंग दोज गाइडलाइंस, making them more stringent, okay, telling to the employees that such things are not absolutely permitted at the workplace, etc. Okay, and या जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन इन डिफरेंट वेज, इंडक्शन किया जा सकता है उनका, ठीक है, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स के थ्रू. यस, देयर कैन बी अ वेरियस वेज through which moral ethics. Now let's see how to make, see this question, in fact you should learn here in this case how to make options, okay, क्योंकि हर केसेस में रहता है कि how to make an alternative. So always make from the worst to the best. He has already made, so we will discuss on those lines. Mr. A and, क्या नाम था, Mr. X and Mrs. X. So, Mr. A. Okay, so the worst option, she's coming for the resignation. So yes, accept the resignation. Accept the resignation of Mrs. X and protect Mr. A. Now, merit and demerits are also asked. So can you tell some of the merit? Merit is, yes, for the larger, greatest happiness of greatest number, for the larger interest of company. A is a star performer, has contributed a lot for this thing. So in the larger interest of the company, and since he is otherwise a star performer, so therefore you have given a preference to this particular thing. Demerit of the option, yes, ethically send a wrong signal. So lot many things can be in between the dignity of women at workplace and the growth of a company. For you, the growth is more important than even the dignity of women. Okay, so dignity of women become a negotiable value for you, or for that matter, you can say that ethically wrong. It sets a wrong precedence. Female employees will, in fact, feel insecure. बहुत सारे लिखा जा सकता है. Even from consequential point of view भी इसको reject किया जा सकता है. Long term में क्या होगा? Okay, yes, women will not turn up, or the company will be in the bad light in the eyes of a larger society, that this company does not have the absolute bare minimum ethical values. So obviously this is a rejected option. As I have said, when you have to already reject, do not write too many merits. कि ये भी होगा, he has contributed a lot, company will benefit, manager will benefit, etc., etc. Second option, let me put it this way, okay, that in fact this is a very important option. Mr. A and Mrs. X, okay, because both are employees and both are the important asset for your company. So as a head of the company or the manager, okay, you are bringing them to the negotiating table, okay, and sort of create a win-win situation, in a sense that Mr. A will tender the apology. Okay, he will extend the apology to Mrs. X. Also, he will promise that these things will not be repeated in future, and if at all, even once, he will be removed without giving a notice also. Okay, so you are negotiating the deal between the Mr. A and Mrs. X. Reconciliation, okay, reconciliation, that he is showing an apology, plus he is also promising that such thing will not happen in future, and if at all, if it get repeated, then he will be removed with an immediate effect without even giving the notice also. Mrs. X, obviously you are saying her that, okay, excuse her for this, and Mrs. X also, like you are convincing her, and then you are also assuring her, यहाँ पे जो ऐसे ये promise दे रहा है, you are assuring the Mrs. X that such thing will not be repeated in future. And if at all repeated, so immediate action will be taken. So this is a sort of a win-win situation because both are an important employees, and obviously the Mr. A is an important thing. Plus you have also made him accountable and also made him realize what he has done is right. How many of you will go for this option, win-win situation? Please raise the hand. Why is it? Okay, good number of people. Yes, who are not raising the hand? Okay, tell me some, why, what's wrong with this option? Justifying the crime, and you are the one who got trapped into this. Okay, it seems to be a very fascinating, diplomatically correct, politically correct, win-win situation option, but it is not actually. You have negotiated the heinous crime, sexual harassment at workplace, and compromised rather than. There is no equality before law and equal protection of law. In fact, somebody has committed the crime, and now he is negotiating his stature, status, okay, and his position in the office in order to take the lesser punishment, or in fact, even get an acquittal. Are you understanding? Yes, written also. Like, let's see. Okay, let's see that. That's also okay. Written apology is given, and counseling also is given. What is the deterrence left then? Then it gives a message that you commit the sexual harassment and then go for the apology. So these are some of the very serious and heinous crime. It's like भाई कि पहले सलमान खान जाएगा उससे गाड़ी चला के और फिर बोलेगा मैंने तो बीइंग ह्यूमन नाम का एनजीओ खोल रखा है, वहाँ पे तो मैं 100 कैंसर लोगों को बचाता हूँ जान उनकी, तो 2-4 तो ऐसे ही टपका देंगे हम, ठीक है, महीने में 2-4 लगा दो हमको, क्योंकि 1000 लोगों को हम फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट मेडिसिन देते हैं. So there is no equality before law and equal protection of law. Okay, every single crime has to be dealt, okay, in this case. And these are the heinous crimes. See, this is a sexual harassment at workplace. There are certain compoundable offenses, very petty issues. Okay, petty matters can be negotiated. Here it is not the case. It's a criminal offense, and therefore seems to be a very win-win situation, but it is not. It gives a wrong signal, and in fact there is no equality. So write the merit hai iske काफी सारे, that is, but you can eventually have to differentiate. In fact, here you can bring the Immanuel Kant, that is a categorical imperative principle. What is a categorical imperative? Meaning of? Yes, dignity of every individual is a uncompromised criteria. It is a absolutely an unconditional necessity that dignity of every individual should be upholded, and here it cannot be negotiated at any cost. So here is a case where you can say that it cannot be negotiated. So obviously that is not the case here. The third thing is in fact this option. Okay, इसमें से एक लिखो, लेकिन ये मैंने इसलिए बताया ताकि आप different cases में different options दे सकते हैं. लेकिन remove an inquiry committee, then demerit is due process is not followed and removed, so it is an injustice towards the Mr. A, because he has not given a chance to appear for his case. This is also not correct because crime is grievous. It may affect the credibility of his functioning. Also, it may influence. So this much. आपको 3 या 4 ही लिखना होता है, तो I'm just putting it here the correct option, that is suspend him with immediate effect, simultaneously put an inquiry committee, okay, and take the action as per the inquiry committee. This is one. See, fourth also I'm writing. This is an internal thing that you have done, that you have immediately suspended him, put up an internal inquiry committee, okay, and then taken action, removal from the job. Maybe he is removed from the job. Now come to this this Mrs. X. See, the thing is that some of the things which you are missing is you have to visually understand that lady is coming to you and she is visibly disturbed. Okay, in such cases, first the word of conciliation. Okay, so first show in solidarity with her, that not taking the resignation, but at the same time, okay, telling her that you feel sorry for her, organization feels sorry for her, and organization is going to stand strong behind her in dispensing her justice or providing her justice. So no resignation, plus telling that the organization stands strong and will help her out in order to get the justice. There will be an impartiality and objectivity, and the justice will be provided to her. So give her that confidence. Second is help her in getting the FIR filed. Okay, because this is a legal, this is an in-house inquiry, plus this cases has to be legally dealt. Okay, this is a sexual harassment at workplace, and if you are in fact doing all this sort of options, in fact you will also be in land in trouble. Okay, in fact there is a famous case 1 year back or 6 months back. There was a Stephens College, Delhi. So there was an allegation the women has made on one of the professor. Okay, so what has happened later on? The principal of the college has asked both the girl and the professor to compromise some other way. Okay, compromise mutually. But when it came into public, even the principal was held responsible, because you are ultimately this is in such a serious offense, you are trying to hide it and compromise on it. So there cannot be compromise. In fact, your job, in fact, is all the more important here in order to help the victim in delivering or getting the justice. So filing an FIR and etc. Fifth point is obviously the long-term option. Okay, that obviously the gender sensitization, revisiting the code of conduct of office, putting this Vishaka guidelines. Although the Vishaka guidelines were very famous, now the already act is there. After this Delhi gang rape has happened, there was a Verma committee was established. So Verma committee has come up with the law, that is a sexual harassment at workplace. So already we have a law. So revisiting those, all the different rules, regulations, code of conducts of an office, which help in maintaining the dignity of women at workplace and sensitizing the employees with regard to those values. Mere having a code of conduct is also not important. You have to reorient or re-socialize with respect to this code of ethical values. Have you understood? So this is how you have to write your answer from first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So your final course of action will be, these are the alternatives, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay. Final course of action is internal inquiry, helping the women to file an FIR, and some long-term option. These two are not there. Hmm? Yes, commerce, that, yes, benefits, financial benefits versus ethical values. That's a dilemma. In fact, this question in introduction you could have introduced. What are this case involves? On one hand side, that is Mr. A, and he as a financial asset, an economic consideration, while on the other hand, it is about the value of women, that is ethics. Hmm. No, FIR, come again. Revisiting is see, this case will independently go in court and police will deal with the case, FIR. Now what I'm doing is, since such thing has happened in an organization, I am seeing rules and regulations of organization. Hmm. Hmm. So it is for the court, वहां पे आगे जाके, criminal justice system should not be based upon punishment. It should be also based upon the reformation. So वो जब जेल में जाएंगे, यहाँ पे reformation नहीं होगा without punishment. Are you understanding? revisiting those code of conduct and imbibing those values in employees. Long term में जो है, what for him is actually is not law enforcement agency and the justice system. In fact, what we have suggested here, तो आपको, since the crime is very grievous, you have to go through the law enforcement mechanism. Now, whatever we have discussed in that class, particularly we have said that जो punishment होता है, तो वहीं पे reformative justice भी होना चाहिए. You cannot go for reformation here because already the laws are in place. What you can do is, for the people who are like there as a part of an employee, you can imbibe the values in them. Second is, if it would not have been such an grievous sexual harassment at workplace नहीं रहता, it would have been some petty issue. Say, for example, in the last case we have discussed. That's why I have discussed both the cases simultaneously. In the last case also, he has made the lewd remarks, which we have said through the counseling, it's nothing but the reformation only, to make him realize that such comment should not be passed. But in this case, it cannot happen within the organization. It has to be legally dealt with. Okay, so that's so you cannot compromise heinous crime. That's the one point. हाँ, so obviously वही तो हो गया. See the yes. So what is happening here is, let's assume what he is saying. Let's suspend him, teach him moral values. Okay, make a course correction and then reinstate him. But then everybody will commit such a crime. No, yeah, but there has to be. In fact, that is what virtue ethics, what you are talking about virtue ethics. We expect from the world that let us stop all the punishment of the India. We will work very hard on inculcating good value. We will make it very strict. Let's finish the courts. Let's finish all the police department. This is what we feel, but it is not going to happen. We need to have a laws because we cannot reach to the point that you are saying. Huh. No, no, Arey yaar, come on. Yes, that is a crime. That is also a heinous crime. Sexual harassment at workplace is like touching is, you want that only if the rape would have happened, then only he would have been brought. There are different laws. No, well, see, that is a part that is not in your responsibility. Okay, that's the court has to take care of. And while recruiting, again, you can, in fact, you can see also, while further how to prevent these things. While recruiting also, I will put some background checks, etc. कि उबर का ड्राइवर कहाँ पे है, कितने बार इसका repeated offense है, क्या बोल रहे हैं? Okay, so those things. Yes, reform ही है ये, जो long term जो है, reform है, but in this case, for that particular person, you cannot reform within the house mechanism. That's the only thing, because crime is grievous. ठीक है? See, philosophically and principally, what he is saying is absolutely correct. But the point is, you cannot do within the house because it will show a wrong signal that you are compromising. You are quite lenient with respect to that person. The heinous crime should have a punitive action. Plus reformation from the third party, not from your party. Or when he will come back again after 10 years of rigorous punishment, then again you give moral boost to him and then recruit him. What he will going to do? Anyways, chalo. So we will continue the case discussions. Okay. Now we'll start with the probity in governance. Okay, right? Probity in governance. In the last class, there was a very interesting argument one person has made. He has to say, why not to put even Mrs. X in the jail till the time the allegation is proven? Because she also must have put the fabricated case. So that will inquiry committee, why you need to put her in a jail? She is a victim. But the person was hell-bent in saying that if she has filed and she also can influence the inquiry committee. There is a logic, but this is not how the legal system works. How you put a victim into a jail? And till end, he was not got convinced that she will not influence the inquiry committee. See, let's assume this way. In this case also, inquiry committee has come up with the report that Mr. A was not responsible. Okay, and this was a fabricated case, and this can happen, likely to happen, etc. Let's assume that genuinely it has been found that this was a fabricated case on part of Mrs. X for some other reason. Now the point is, the justice system says that you have to first go through this mechanism. Now it is for Mr. A to put some criminal defamation charges. There is a defamation case which can be filed against the Mrs. X by Mr. A, that at individual level, okay, this whole process has incurred some losses at personal level. It has tarnished my image. So civil defamation or criminal defamation can be possible. But still, again, somewhere the laws are pro-women, because in a society, she is very vulnerable. That's why laws are in favor of women. On the contrary, because the society is a pro-male, therefore laws are, हाँ, तो ऐसे रखा हुआ है वो. Okay. हाँ. Yes, certainly. That is what. So you cannot punish the person and put them into the jail altogether. And in fact, think a long term. Who will then, the person who is victimized? Anyways, in India, it is very difficult for us to see that she will come forward. अब वो जेल में जा रही है victim, तो वो क्यों पहले in first case she will come and say that I filed up the case. ठीक है? Okay, let's now move on to the probity in governance. Just write because this governance part. Emotional intelligence we are going to do later because it's a very small topic, half an hour. Right, probity in governance. What is the meaning of the word probity? Yes, honesty and integrity. Or what else? Yes, in fact, everything that is ethical, okay, this is a general word. Okay, literal meaning जो है uprightness है. Literal meaning is being upright or uprightness. But here, it's not just the literal meaning, it's a very general meaning that when we write a probity in governance, it represents honesty and integrity in governance. Honesty and integrity in governance. It represents the ethical governance, ethical or moral governance. Ethical or moral governance. It represents corruption-free governance. It represents corruption-free governance. So all this thing, the themes of corruption-free, moral, ethical, uprightness, okay, in contemporary time, they are in the theme of good governance. Okay, so this is the word that is being used, that is a good governance. Good governance is the concept or the theme or the idea or the term that is used in contemporary time, which represents all these values. Okay, that is, so probity is like having the honest governance, ethical governance, moral governance, good governance. Okay, so now write the good governance as a heading. Okay, good governance as a topic. Now, first write the context. Context. Context में ये है कि first we should know what is bad governance, okay, and against which we are going to come up with the idea of good governance. Context, that is context में लिख सकते हो features of mal governance, features of mal governance, MAL, mal means not good वाला mal. माल गवर्नेंस, मिस गवर्नेंस, अब मिस भी दूसरा ही हो जाएगा फिर, ठीक है, माल और मिस गवर्नेंस. Yes, what are the characters? What is a bad governance? Although the word bad governance is not used, huh? Corruption, yes. So first features लिखो. There's a corruption, nepotism, एक ही में लिखो, okay? Nepotism, favoritism, cronism or crony, capitalism. Okay, this is all sort of a financial corruption. Okay, corruption, nepotism, favoritism, crony capitalism, etc. Second, simply write that is a misuse of power. Misuse of power. Okay, right. Power is used in the interest of. Power is used in the interest of ruling class. Ruling class. In the interest of ruling class, and to further other interest, other extended interest लिखो, बाकी के मतलब crony capitalism वैसे भी आ जाएगा. In fact, the word misuse of power will convey every message. Then third, you can write, that is red tapeism. Red tapeism, undue delay in public service delivery. Undue delay, okay, delay लिखो अगर नहीं, undue delay in public service delivery. Next, fourth, inefficiency and ineffectivity. Inefficiency, inefficiency and ineffectivity in public service delivery. Inefficiency and ineffectivity in public service delivery. Okay. Next is lack of transparency. Lack of transparency. Next, weak accountability. Weak accountability. Next, lack of public service orientation. This is attitudinal problem. Okay. Bureaucratic apathy. Bureaucratic apathy और lack of एक ही है, दोनों एक ही है. Okay. Lack of public service orientation or bureaucratic apathy. Bureaucratic apathy or lack of public service orientation. Okay, next, status quoism. Status quoist or status quoism. What is a status quoism? That is a resistance to change. Okay, resistance to change is a status quoist. Okay, in fact, this status quoism, elitism, okay, there is a sense of elitism. Okay, so that's a status quoist. What is the confusion? Let me repeat it once again. Okay, red tape. Then next is inefficiency and ineffectivity in public service delivery or in governance for that matter, inefficiency and ineffectivity. Then next is weak transparency or lack of transparency. weak accountability, okay, then lack of public service orientation or bureaucratic apathy, then status quoism or status quist. ये इतने दिन तो रोज तो बताता रहता हूँ, आज ऐसे मतलब देख रहे हैं कि क्या ये शब्द है। क्विज्म मतलब ये आइडिया है, या फिर स्टेटस क्विस्ट दैट इज रेजिस्टेंस टू चेंज, ओके, or for that matter there is a sense of elitism. Next is politicization of bureaucracy. That's a larger malaise of the system. Politicization of bureaucracy, or for that matter you can write the political pressure. अब नहीं, पहले ये लिखो politicization of bureaucracy, okay, right, the undue political pressure. इसी में, अरे कट क्यों कर दे रहे हो सरदार जी, ये है बराबर है वो, हाँ हाँ ठीक है। Politicization of bureaucracy or undue political pressure on the bureaucrat. नेक्स्ट में लिख सकती हो या इसी में लिख सकती हो, दैट इज अ नेक्सस, ओके, अनहोली नेक्सस बिटवीन ब्यूरोक्रेट एंड पॉलिटिकल क्लास, bureaucratic political nexus. This is the most deadliest nexus. अगर इंडिया में bureaucrats, political class and capitalist class, if they three join the hand, there cannot be mango people existing in the world, okay, anywhere, okay, that's a very very rarely combination. Beyond that there cannot be a rule of law in a country. Bureaucratic political nexus. और क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म में एक्चुअली क्या रहता है, दैट इज अ पॉलिटिको ब्यूरोक्रेटिक प्लस कैपिटलिस्ट नेक्सस, ठीक है। पीपल के साथ नेक्सस नहीं है, पीपल के साथ वो गुड गवर्नेंस है, ठीक है। नेक्सस पीपल पब्लिक पार्टनरशिप जो है, दैट्स अ गुड गवर्नेंस, नहीं तो वो भी नेक्सस करके सेटिंग कर रहे हैं लोगों के साथ अच्छा काम करने का, दैट्स नॉट द थिंग, ओके। यस, so these are the aspects of mal governance. See, this in fact summarize the whole paper, okay. आपको ये पूरी बातें हमेशा ध्यान में रखनी है कि whole paper, somewhere your orientation should always have this understanding in your thing that these are the points which requires to be addressed in bureaucracy, okay. Now write the general features of good governance. इसको ही उल्टा करना है बट लिखना है फिर से, ठीक है। General features of good governance. General features of good governance. We'll go very logically, इसीलिए इसको ऐसे chronologically लिखा हुआ है, okay. First लिखो corruption free governance. When we say about good governance, good is a value loaded term. So natural question should be, what is good about governance? So what are the good features? First, it should be a clean or corruption free governance. Second is legitimate use of power. Legitimate use of power. Now legitimate use of power क्या है? Use of power in the public interest, okay, that is use of power in public interest. इसी को oblique करके लिख सकते हो people centric governance, citizen centric governance, एक ही है सब कुछ। people centric governance, citizen centric governance, use of power in public interest, okay, not the ruling class but in the interest of public. Third is red tape, third delay in service. So speedy delivery of public services, speedy and timely delivery of public services, okay. Next is effectivity and efficiency in governance. Effectivity and efficiency in governance. Next is transparency. Effectivity and efficiency in governance. Next is transparency. Next is केवल accountability मत लिखो, strong accountability. एक accountability है इंडिया में, लैक ऑफ अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं लिखा है, वीक अकाउंटेबिलिटी लिखा है। मतलब पूरे इंस्टीट्यूशन क्रिएट कर दिए गए हैं, लोकपाल, लोक आयुक्त, सीएजी, सीबीआई, कैग, ईसी, हाँ सब कुछ है लेकिन कर तो कुछ नहीं रहा है, ठीक है। यस, सो स्ट्रॉन्ग अकाउंटेबिलिटी, देन Yes, क्या लिखा था next वाला? Bureaucratic apathy. So you can write the public service orientation. Public service orientation. Public service orientation or empathy, compassion towards the weaker section. That will convey the message. When public service orientation, so all the values, pro people values will be the part of it, as a democratic attitude, etc. Okay, public service orientation. Next is status quo की जगह flexible, okay, flexible attitude or flexibility, can write. Status quoism is actually the feature rigidity. Okay, so here it is a yes. हाँ, democratic attitude, okay, or flexibility एक ही है. Okay, so that you are listening to the different aspects of section of society and accordingly taking the decision. Consensus based decision, flexible decision, responsive. Okay, उसमें और लिखो oblique करके responsive. Flexible means responsive. You are responding to the needs of public. उसी में लिखना है. Okay, flexible, responsive. Okay, एक ही है. Next is क्या लिखा है? Politicization. Yes, politicization में कुछ नहीं लिख सकते हैं. यहाँ पे already political neutrality है. That is लिखो maintaining the political neutrality, objectivity and impartiality. Maintaining the political neutrality, impartiality, objectivity, okay. So nexus के लिए कोई nexus नहीं है, that is a separation etc. है. Okay, the points will be very well conveyed. Okay, so these are the general points. See, there cannot be 2 lists, 3 lists, 10 lists. Okay, you have to generic understand that the whole point is deliver the governance for the reason it has been created. Okay, there is an objective. See, the essentially you have to understand state and the government is a means and the welfare of the people is an end, and it's not the other way around. But in the mal governance, what happens? People and their aspects are become means, and the government interests become the end. So that scenario has to be changed. Okay, from government becomes end or the political class become end to they should become a means and people should be an end. Okay. Now write the philosophical underpinnings of good governance. Philosophical basis लिखो. Underpinnings, basis, philosophical basis of good governance. Philosophical basis of good governance. Philosophical basis means, see, even if the idea is this new, and today we talk about good governance is a new buzzword, this is sustainable development. So it does not mean that nobody in the past has talked about the good governance. In fact, all the scholars, whenever they have spoken about government and state, they always thought that this is to deliver good things for the society. So, so we are going to see some of the scholars in writing of whom we find the glimpses of good governance. Okay, so right, the first is Kautilya. Kautilya, what is his famous book? Arthashastra. Okay, Kautilya in his Arthashastra, Kautilya in his seminal book Arthashastra wrote, comma into inverted comma, wrote, quote unquote कर लो, quote, dot dot dot, in the happiness of the subject, in the happiness of the subject lies the happiness of king. In the happiness of the subject lies the happiness of king, comma, in the welfare of the subject, in the welfare of the subject lies the welfare of king, lies the welfare of the king. Okay, dot 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 unquote. So what do you understand? क्या समझ में आ रहा है? That happiness of subject is important. Okay, that is a citizen-centric people-centric governance. Focus of attention, it's not written that if, so he says that king cannot be happy if praja is not happy. Subjects are praja, okay, subjects, citizens, okay. If citizens are not happy, king cannot be happy. So happiness of the king is intrinsically linked with the happiness of the citizen. So therefore, he should work in the interest of happiness of people. So that's in fact what is a good governance. In a one line, if the good governance has to be articulated, it's a people-centric governance. Okay, that's the aspect. Second, within the Kautilya's book, okay, do not write the Kautilya ही है, इसी अर्थशास्त्र में second quote है. Second quote, dot dot dot, ways of embezzlement. Ways of embezzlement are 40. Ways of embezzlement are 40. What is embezzlement? Fraud, manipulation, deception, fraud, manipulation. It's a corruption, okay, in a modern time. So, way back in ancient time, he wrote a book and he was talking about the same thing. That is, the ways of corruption are 40. So, he was not talking about 40 kon se ways hai. Okay, he was actually suggesting the king that you should remain alert because 400 BC के बहुत सारे तरीके हैं, जुगाड़ के बहुत सारे तरीके हैं. Okay, greed is all pervasive. Okay, corruption is all pervasive, and therefore you need to be taking an extra care with regard to controlling the corruption. So the significance of corruption has been talked by Kautilya in Arthashastra. So that is also he wanted like to alert the king so that he should take and come up with mechanism against the corruption. In fact, he has interestingly noted the association between the money and the person is comparable to when you ask the person and put a drop of a honey on the tip of a tongue, and then you ask the person not to tell the test, not test it. So that kind of association, giving a money into the hands of people in governance and saying that do not be corrupt. So it is that powerful association कि हनी का जो ड्रॉप डालने के बाद हमें तुरंत ही समझ में आ जाता है कि what is the taste of it, but you should not rather consider what should be the taste. So it is something like that. So he was telling that it's a so absolute connection that once the money is given, obviously there is a corruption, and therefore you have to take an extra care. You cannot take it for granted that people is going to be virtuous, as like we will make it very strong, and yes, that is what we want, but the point is certainly people will be driven by the greed, people are going to be remain corrupt, and therefore we need to have a strong deterrence mechanism also, or any kind of a mechanism which will help in prevention and punitive action with regard to corruption. Have you understood? Okay, so that's about the Kautilya. Second, now you can write the Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi is कल डिस्कस किया था हमने his vision of Ram Rajya. Okay, his vision of Ram Rajya is a prosperity of the people. Okay, the Gandhi has articulated his ideal vision, his ideal society in his vision of Ram Rajya. Features of ideal society in his vision of Ram Raj, where all people are happy and prosperous. Where all the people are happy and prosperous. In fact, one of the component which I said about the Swaraj, okay, Swaraj means self-rule. Self-rule means every single person should independent and should rule on himself. So people's participation, people centricity is at the heart. Ram Rajya ke usme Swaraj, okay, there should not be an external authority which is dominating on the person. It should be a self-rule. People should have a self-rule. In fact, that's a Swaraj. याद आ रहा है या नहीं आ रहा है? Swaraj and Ram Rajya. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, that is, he has articulated. In fact, the whole philosophy of Gandhi is based upon यही जो principle है, corruption free, moral, ethical, etc. Because one thing he has always talked about, essential continuity between means and ends. So obviously, whatever you are doing, your mean should be strong. So naturally, all points can be extended to this. Okay, as a general point, like Ram Rajya and Swaraj. Now, next, you can write an Aristotle. Aristotle. You can write, Aristotle has classified the governments. Aristotle has classified governments into two broad types. Into two broad types. One is the legitimate government. Legitimate government. And second is perverted government. Perverted government. Now, nothing as such. Legitimate government हमें good governance से compare करना है, and perverted is with the mal governance. How he defined it, in whose interest the ruling is done. Okay, legitimate government, the government in which the governance is done in the interest of people or ruled one. Perverted is one where the ruling is done in the interest of ruling class. Okay, so that is, you can just write it down. Legitimate government is one. Legitimate government is done where the rule is in the interest of, where the rule or governance is in the interest of ruled one, RULED, ruled or public लिखो simple words में. Ruling and ruled में confusion मत करो. Ruled are the one who are the public. Ruled one or public, simply write the public or citizen. And perverted is the one where the rule is in the interest of ruling class, the one who are the holding the power. So here, which component you should compare? That is a legitimate government. So these are the some of the examples. Again, any person is talking anything about the good about governance is a part of your philosophical aspects. Okay? So in fact, Gandhi is known as moral anarchist, as I have mentioned in some other class, that he has supported very less minimal government, because he essentially says that more and more concentration of power, then they're going to misuse it. He was not for the concentration of power. Concentration of power will be there, then certainly they are going to use to further their own interest. So in fact, he was against this police system and etc. He said that police represents that exploitative tool which is in the hands of the government. In fact, if you see the when you discuss the polity and governance, आपके वो chapter हो जाएंगे, तो we are governed by 1861 Police Act, and this Police Act is having a complete, absolutely colonial setup and structure. So blaming police to an extent is not also correct, because structurally they are meant to work in the interest of political masters. Now, when 1861, when the law was kept, the absolute aim of creation of act is to help the Britishers, and it should be anti-people. And same colonial structure continued, and after 1947, there has not been attempt to made any kind of a structural reform. Why it has not been made? Because of the vested interest of the political class. Okay, so the Britishers as a colonial masters got replaced by this political masters, and they are furthering their own interests. So this is something which has a structural issue. Okay, so Supreme Court has time and again has come up with this police reforms. Prakash Singh case in 2006. Okay, Supreme Court, in fact, PIL was filed up by Prakash Singh, and in 2006, Supreme Court has come up with the 7 guidelines, okay, in order to make the police reform, but not substantially change has happened. In fact, police is a state subject, and again, this archaic model of 1861 still continued. Okay. क्या बता रहा था यार मैं, कौन से पॉइंट से उधर चले गए? हाँ, moral. So he was talking, moral anarchist means that the state represents the exploitative, this thing. Unless and until there is a more and more decentralization and people's participation is there, we cannot expect the over-centralized government to work in the moral interest of the public in general. That's why it is called moral anarchist. There was a moral reason behind not having much of the power of the state. Okay, do not write that way, because the world which we live in, the anarchy world, is very prejudiced world or negative world. Okay, but you have to also understand anarchy is not just about lawlessness. Okay, when everybody is saying, why will you require a law? That is the point he was talking about. Are you understanding? So anarchy is absence of law in that regard, because everybody is a sane, rational, virtuous. Okay. So that's the point of the philosophy of or philosophical underpinning. Now write the next 8 specific features, 8 specific features of good governance. 8 specific features of good governance. Do you want a break or we can continue? कितना खुश, मतलब एकदम चेयरफुल चेहरे, एकदम ऐसे लग रहा है कि रोज कमल खिल गया है एकदम से ऐसा. Okay, ले लो break 5 minutes. We have to continue. In fact, these 8 features are again what we understand a good governance in contemporary times. So we need to now in detail discuss about the good governance. In fact, this is the very important basic topic, okay, to understand the whole civil services and government, etc., etc. Yes, right. The 8 specific points of good governance. Just make this diagram. थोड़ा सा बड़ा कागज ले लो, okay, कंजूसी मत करो. वहीं पे so many things has to be written here. Rule of law, people's participation, consensus orientation, consensus orientation, equity and inclusiveness. Transparency, accountability, accountability, responsive, responsive and effective and efficient. Effective and efficient. Corruption-free, moral, citizen-centric governance. This is general point. The general points. Where is the point of corruption-free in 8 points? Rule of law, corruption-free, transparency. All of them, okay. Corruption-free is a feature, okay. From each one, in fact, final objective is corruption-free, okay, and this clean and citizen-centric, etc. And you cannot like separate one from the other, okay. All are intrinsically linked to each other and complementary to each other. Okay, for sake of understanding that 8 features have been divided. Okay, so as to understand this. Otherwise, जो general features है उस वही है, लेकिन this concept has been now the 8 points of good governance specifically we discuss. जो पहले वाले points है वो भी मतलब anything that is a good, okay, that's a part of good governance. Now let's start with the rule of law. Okay, a little bit of discussion on each one. Rule of law. Yes, what is the rule of law? Yes, I have explained it in some classes. What is rule of law? Lawless. Law is lawless. Your law is a king. Law is king is correct? Yes. Law is supreme. और थोड़ा सा explanation चाहिए. हाँ, डाइसी का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं पूछा है, ठीक है. डाइसी के 3 पॉइंट्स है. एवी डाइसी हैज टॉक्ड अबाउट इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ, इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लॉ. यस, दोज आर पॉइंट्स. और थोड़ा सा जेनरिक वे में चाहिए. ओके, why there should not be any arbitrariness. See, the thing is, there was a larger debate who should rule. Okay. And according to the Socrates has said that wisdom should rule, knowledge should rule. Now, what does this essentially mean in practice? Like, let's say this is a country. This class is a country. Now, knowledge should rule means I will take one, conduct a test, and the one who is the most knowledgeous, okay, I will make him a king, and he will going to rule. That is what the knowledge should rule and wisdom should rule. Is there anything wrong with this idea? If I do this most knowledgeous person, and I will make him the one who will rule the country, this country. Yes, the chances of misuse of power will be there. Although he is a knowledgeous and he is a person of wisdom, but in future there is no guarantee that he will not misuse the power. So therefore, we cannot give the absolute power no matter however wise person he is. Okay, so therefore he should be governed by rules and regulation even when he is the most important office of the country. So in fact, this knowledge should rule and philosopher king should rule. This was what has been said by the Plato and Socrates, Plato. But then Aristotle has criticized that there is a chance of misuse of power. Okay, and therefore he may use his power as per his whims and fancies. That is what is called arbitrary use of the power. So in order to prevent such kind of arbitrariness, and in order to protect the human rights and fundamental rights in all the situations, we have come up with what is called rule of law. So rule of law is a supreme. Person is not supreme. Okay, law is supreme, and law is sacred, law is supreme. Okay, and everybody should consider its sacredness and the supremacy, and therefore all people should abide by them. Okay. Now, in modern times, this rule of law is expressed in the form of constitution. Okay. Here we are not just talking about the parliament and the law. That's a very one of the part of it. Here we are talking about any kind of organ of government. Okay, then it is governed by the constitution. So there is no absoluteness, okay, and law will guide everything. So that is the case of rule of law. So that is the first hallmark of good governance. So good governance is a people-centric governance. So nobody should consider himself absolute. Nobody should be use his power. There is no chance for him to become a dictator. Okay, that is the assurity of rule of law. So write something. Rule of law. Rule of Rule of law doctrine suggests that governance should be carried out as per the law of land, as per the law of land. The basic law of the land in modern times is synonymous with constitution. Basic law of the land in the modern times is synonymous with the constitution. Rule of law protects citizens against the arbitrary power of ruling class. Rule of law protects citizen against the arbitrary use of power or arbitrary use of power. Arbitrary use of power, as per whims and fancies, somebody will use arbitrarily. Okay. Now, which will be the most important institution in democracy to ensure the rule of law? Judiciary. Okay. This constitution is a document. Who will ensure independent judiciary? So, right, the independent judiciary will help in maintaining the rule of law. Okay, so that's why it is like feature. This rule of law in otherwise also, like you must have studied in polity and governance, it is called as constitutionalism, or it is also called as limited government. Okay, so all are same. Rule of law, constitutionalism, limited government. Limited government does not mean कि उनको limited power है. Yes, in literal sense, limited power है. It means that every organ's power is defined as per the rules, and their jurisdiction is defined. And if they go beyond their mandate, then judiciary will be there in order to maintain the rule of law. Okay, so that is the role of the judiciary in order to maintain the rule of law. In many cases, constitution will be there, but rule of law will not be there. What does it mean? मतलब क्या हो सकता है? It means that there are certain countries where the document is present, but people are very strong, or maybe the judiciary is very weak, okay, and the power is completely fused, okay, dictatorial tendencies and Hitler-like tendencies. So even if, like in case of African countries where this Arab Spring revolution is happening, say for example in case of Syria, there is a Assad regime, there is a sort of a dictatorialship where there is no rule of law exist. In fact, one feature of rule of law is that nobody is above the law. But in case of these countries where I'm saying, where the people, the personality becomes more than the law itself, and they define the law. Okay, so that's where we see that although the constitution may be there, but rule of law does not exist. Okay, there is no democracy. Again, having a constitution technically need not be the feature of rule of law. Okay, such as UK, okay, where you have a rule of law, but again, it does not mean that they have nothing in written. There are conventions. There are different documents, there are certain, yes, there are various different issues on the basis of which they govern. So that's about the rule of law. I hope the point is clear. Okay, so it means that the power is limited one, and people, because one theme which is you should keep in mind, good governance is about people. So obviously people's rights are upholded. Right. The second, that is a people's participation. People's participation. Why people's participation should be the good governance? What happens if people will not participate? What's wrong with that? Government act in a whimsical manner when there is a lack of vigilance of public. In fact, this is one of the negative aspect of representative democracy. Representative democracy में क्या होता है? एक दिन 5 साल में आप free होते हो, where you go for the election, okay, and then in rest of the 5 years you do not get involved. So it leaves a lot of scope for the political executives and political class to manipulate their power, because there is a lack of vigilance. In fact, this lack of vigilance is a price of representative democracy. That in case of representative democracy, as the Rousseau puts it, that Englishman gets free once in a 5 year. Rousseau नाम सुना है? राहुल नाम तो सुना होगा, ठीक है? कौन है रूसो? Yes, French philosopher who has like inspired the social contract. Yes, Hobbes logs Rousseau. Okay, one of the person who has talked about social contract. But the point is, he has supported the direct democracy. Okay, not a representative democracy, and he has criticized the direct democracy. In fact, in representative democracy, you elect the government, and then all the decision taken by the majority. So, in fact, there is a term called tyranny of majority also. Okay, in democracy, it is actually the game of numbers. It's obviously not the ideal and the best system, but we don't have any other system. In fact, that is what the Winston Churchill has said once. Till the time we have no good form of governance, so democracy is the only option. But there are certain fallacies of democracy. But yes, when we see about the democracy, we actually, if you want to be a more accurate, it is a direct democracy. Real democracy is about direct democracy, because the very meaning of democracy is rule of people. But in case of a representative democracy, it is basically the oligarchy, because few group of people are going to rule, and the participation of the people in representative democracy is very limited one. So now, in fact, if you see this initially, how the democracy has originated, it originated as a direct democracy in Greek city-states. Okay, in Greek city-state, people used to gather at one particular place and deliberate and take the decision. Now, over a period of time, why it got converted from direct to representative? For a reason, the concept of city-state becomes a nation-state. Okay, now there is no Ram Lila Maidan where 1 billion people can gather and take the decision every day. Okay, that's next to impossible. That direct democracy, the form which was existed in case of Athens and Spartans, so that kind of democracy cannot exist in contemporary form. So therefore we have gone, yes, there are certain वो जो initiatives referendum बोल रहे हो, वो भी कहाँ पे follow होते हो? Switzerland में follow होते हैं. Okay, how much size of the country in Switzerland you can think of? Okay, so those are the tools, theoretical tools, but next to impossible to really practice on a everyday basis. That's the one reason size of governance got increased. Also, the complexity of governance increased. In Greek city-state, there was a local issues. Okay, there was not a very complex city. So the complex structure, and over a period of time, we have made certain compromises, and the representative democracy came in. Now, over a period of time, representative democracy continued, and now we are realizing the fallacies of representative democracy, because there is a lack of people's vigilance. There is a lack of people's participation, which is giving a scope for the representative class to exploit or misuse the power. So there is a renewed interest that good governance says that people's participation is important, because they will put and vigilant on the government, A, and B, participation in decision making is only the real empowerment of the people. Okay, having the subsidies and getting dependent on the government without involvement into the decision is not a real empowerment. Real empowerment is participation. Again, here the self-rule jo concept tha, Swarajya at individual level, because people have a capacity to rule, so therefore they should get a chance to rule. That brings the real empowerment. Okay, so write something about people's participation. Continuous people's participation, continuous and regular people's participation, continuous and regular people's participation in governance is a hallmark of good governance. Hallmark archies of good governance लिख सकते हो, ठीक है? Okay, people's participation ensures people's में people's apostrophe s, people's cannot be a plural one. Okay, people's participation ensures vigilance on governance. This help in maintaining accountability of governance towards public. This help in maintaining accountability of governance or government लिखो, accountability of government towards public. Also, people's participation in decision-making process. Also, people's participation in decision-making process bring the real sense of empowerment of people. Bring in real sense the empowerment of people. Okay, so broadly we are signified in two ways. One is it puts the vigilance and making them accountable, and also there is the empowerment of people. Yes. See, all are linked obviously here. Okay. Next, how to ensure? Now, see, the thing is, today we are living in the representative democracy. So slowly we are trying to bring in mechanism. Now, exactly the direct democracy which is practiced during the earlier time is not possible. What we today call is a participatory democracy. Okay. So, write the mechanism of ensuring people's participation. Mechanism of ensuring people's participation. Okay, yes. Tell me what are the mechanisms? हाँ, पंचायती राज institution लिखो मत अभी. हाँ, बताओ. हाँ. E-governance how? Is mygovernment.in, feedback, okay, critical assessment of anything. Okay, mygovernment.in पता है ना? You can give a suggestions to Modi Sahab, okay, that you can implement this and that. Social media also. Or yes, see, the referendum, these are in fact the purest form of direct democracy. वो theoretically है, practically नहीं होते. You are right, plebiscite, referendum, initiative and recall. ये जो चार है, these are the mechanisms of direct democracy, but they are very hard to implement in the contemporary time. So we are devising some newer mechanisms also. Yes, certainly they are there. Okay, right. So divide it into two parts. Conventional mechanisms. Conventional मतलब अभी तक जो चले आ रहे. What's the most important conventional mechanism? Election. Yes. First is election. Okay. Second, you can write the pressure groups or interest group. How pressure groups will ensure the governance? We do not. Yes, protest influencing the governance policy making. Okay, so not saying that. In fact, single most important point of difference between political parties and pressure group is one fight the election for taking the power and one influence from outside. Okay. थर्ड में लिख लो ये ऐसे ही, मतलब वही जो तीन थर्ड लिखो, टूल्स ऑफ डायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसीज, थर्ड कन्वेंशनल में टूल्स ऑफ डायरेक्ट पार्टिसिपेशन लिखो, डेमोक्रेसी मत लिखो, टूल्स ऑफ डायरेक्ट पार्टिसिपेशन, रेफरेंडम, इसी में टूल्स ऑफ उसी में है, रेफरेंडम, प्लेबिसाइट, इनिशिएटिव एंड रिकॉल. ओके, प्लेबिसाइट, रेफरेंडम, प्लेबिसाइट. लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ नहीं रहे हो क्या आप? दिया है ये पहले चैप्टर में, इसमें दिया है प्रियम्बल में. प्रियम्बल में डेमोक्रेसी में दिया है पहला जो है ना, वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया बिलोंग्स टू अवर सेल्फ सोलेमली टू सोवेरियन सोशलिस्ट डेमोक्रेटिक रिपब्लिक. सो वो डेमोक्रेटिक में दिया है कौन कौन सी प्रकार की डेमोक्रेसी रहती है. पीछे दिया है जैसे स्टार मार के जो रहता है ना रेफरेंसेस, उसमें दिया है, देखो जाके उस चैप्टर में. ठीक है. Anyways, so these are the, what is the difference between the two? See, these are the almost synonymous, but still there is a specific difference. Referendum means any kind of public opinion if you want to take, so you go for the referendum. And plebiscite is specifically border dispute related or territorial related. Okay, but both of them are used interchangeably in contemporary time. Okay, जैसे बोलते कि referendum on Ireland, referendum on say for example Brexit. Okay, so basically when territorial question is there, there is a plebiscite, and for in general other opinion there is a referendum, but interchangeably. Initiative, people propose the bill. Okay, people, जैसे हमारा है कि बिल पास करने के लिए लोकसभा में या राज्यसभा में you have to put up, except in few cases where लोकसभा only, but here people will propose the bill. Okay, in a loosely way, जैसे जन लोकपाल बिल था. Okay, initiative of the people. Okay. Recall. Okay, recall the representative. It's not the 5 year. Okay, in democracy you have to like bear नहीं, मतलब 5 years रहते हैं वो. ठीक है. सो अगर आपको कभी लगा कि अच्छे दिन नहीं है तो रिकॉल ऑप्शन हो सकता है, बट इंडिया में नहीं है. Okay, as long as you are enjoying the majority, particularly on the, yes, Lok Sabha, that is a lower house of the parliament. So that's the thing. Now write non-conventional tools, non-conventional, emerging or contemporary tools. Yes, first write PRIs, Panchayati Raj Institutions. Panchayati Raj Institutions, PRIs, 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment. PRIs. Second, Right to Information Act. Isn't it a tool of public participation? Yes, it's one of the most important, the empowerment. Okay, Rahul Gandhi is right at least in one case. Okay, that yes, RTI has really ensured the empowerment by participation of people. Okay, and making the government accountable, bringing transparency. So it is one of the India's most yes, one of the very important act. Okay, after independence. So RTI. Next, on the accountability side, there is called as something called social audit. Okay, mechanism of social audit. What is social audit? Have you heard of it? Okay. Audit is done by the people. Okay, in simple way. We are going to discuss this transparency in RTI later on, maybe in the tomorrow's class. जनरली ऑडिट कौन करता है? गवर्नमेंट ही करता है. एक तरफ वो पैसे दे रहे हैं और एक तरफ वो ऑडिटर भी है टू चेक. So can you see the conflict of interest? You are only giving the money and you are only cross-checking whether the money is available or not. So that was used to be no auditing or very weak auditing. Now people are asking that this much of money has been released by central government and we have got this much. So obviously people's participation, auditing done by the people, social audit. Next, citizen charter. Citizen charter. Okay, we have to discuss separately. ये एक अलग chapter discuss करना है. Citizen charter. Next is yes, certainly e-governance, right? E-governance. Example, yes, mygovernment.in. Okay. प्रधानमंत्री का भी ऐप है, वहाँ पे भी आप सजेशंस दे सकते हो. एंड्रॉयड एंड आईफोन में जो ऐप आते हैं, ठीक है. Yes, social media also. How social media can ensure the public participation? Yes, Twitter, Google Plus, Facebook, okay, all the, yes, Instagram also, like pictures should come, okay, people are fond of pictures also. Selfies and absolute transparency आ जाएगी कि क्या चल रहा है, exactly. Yes, see the point is, let's understand here that all this Twitter and social networking, this is ensuring whenever the decision comes in, how the people are reacting to it, how they are criticizing it, how they are welcoming it, what are the suggestions, what is the feedback. So the pulse of the public can be understood through the social media, and it has emerged as one of the most important tool or mechanism of people's participation. It's not coincidence to learn that when the country will go in international relations and then they vote against the Iran in United Nations Security Council, and then they put the reason on the Twitter or on the website. Okay, that is to communicate with the public that these are the following reasons, okay, why we have voted against the Iran. So that is in fact what we see the power of accountability through the social media. Yes, what else? PIL also, yes, PIL. PIL basically, although judiciary is there, but people's participation, because principle of locus standi has been diluted. Otherwise, only aggrieved party could file the complaint. Now you need not be an aggrieved party. Locus standi समझ में आता है? Principle of locus standi. By what authority? Okay, you are filing up the case. So anybody can file in the larger public interest. So obviously, it's also one of the tools. Okay, NGOs also, NGO activism, it can be a conventional tool also, because NGOs can be considered as a part of pressure groups, or in a new sense, that's a sort of this environmental NGOs and different NGOs which are working, that's also ensuring the people's part. See, there's conventional and this is again for our understanding. There is no technical classification. It can so these are the aspects you should remember which ensures the people's participation, and it will help in all this transparency, accountability, good governance, empowerment, etc., etc. Okay. Now, right. That's why this chapter is the most important one for understanding the whole civil services and what is the objective of governance. Next is consensus orientation. Consensus orientation. How the decisions are taken in democracy? Consensus से लेते हैं democracy में decision? Majority. Okay. So government has to ensure that 51 percentage of the people in the parliament should be in their side. So you can take any decision if 51% you ensure. So generally the decisions are taken in majority in democracy. That's why in majority ultimately number matters. But then you see from a different angle, it also means that you are always ignoring, or you can ignore. There is a threat that you ignore the minority. Okay. Now that's why it is this Alex G. Tocqueville करके एक scholar है, उन्होंने कहा है tyranny of majority. Okay, tyranny of लिखो मत अभी कुछ, ठीक है? Tyranny of majority is because in democracy, if you are always going by the majority, and if some section is minor in number, there interest, their yes, viewpoints will never been addressed. So when we say about the people centric, it does not mean that only a majority centric. It means that all people. So in this regard, the good governance, the thrust of the good governance is on consensus building rather than based upon the majority. Now, technically speaking, consensus mean everybody should agree. And then it will be next to impossible for us to believe that democracy will function, particularly in India. It cannot happen then. So the point written is consensus orientation. The point is, see, ultimately you are going to take the decision on the basis of majority, but engaging the opposition, listening to the opposition viewpoints, okay, taking the this criticism from the constructive angle, negotiating with them, having an attitude of flexibility, like negotiating. Say, for example, आपने 10 points already consider कर चुके, considering 2 points, adopting their 2 points. So this form of democratic decision making, consensus orientation, should be there. Now there are advantages. Advantages is, first is it is more democratic decision making, and second is when you implement, okay, there is a more effectivity to decision making. Ab kya hota hai, when you take a majority decision, the moment the decision is getting implemented, there is a protest and etc. that is happening. So in fact, there is no legitimacy to the decision when you take the decision by ignoring the group of section of society. So even when the decision to be taken on the majority, but attempt should be made to that develop the consensus. That is why it is written as a consensus orientation. Okay, consensus orientation, listening to the viewpoints of different section of the society and then taking the decision. Okay, so write the consensus orientation. While taking the decisions in governance, while taking the decisions in governance मत लिखो, while taking the decisions, government should make an attempt to build consensus on the issue. Government should make an attempt to build a consensus on issue or on various issues. Consensus building provides more legitimacy to the decision. Consensus building provide more legitimacy to the decision. Also, it helps in smooth implementation of decision. Smooth and effective implementation of decision. Also, it helps in smooth and effective implementation of decision. Why? Because those people have already been considered. See, in fact, most of the times when the people coming from the parliament opposition, they know that they don't have the number, but one of the things that they speak to the public, that we have not been taken into consideration only. We have not been consulted. So the grievance is not about what the decision is taken. Grievance is about even the attention has not been paid to them. So consensus orientation requires a lot of efforts, and good governance involves that taking the decision from point of view of the all section. Also, consensus is important, particularly in heterogeneous society, because section of society and their particular interest also should be get represented. That's about the consensus orientation. Say, for example, various issues, tribal, say, related issues. As a land acquisition bill. Forget about majority. In fact, we go for the ordinance. Now, you can go take the decision, but then you face later on the problem because there is no legitimacy. There is more protest because you have already not done that particular thing. So whatever the thing is, the orientation should be consensus. Next is equity and inclusiveness. Equity and inclusiveness. Yes, we have already done it, and lot of energy we have invested already. Okay, UPA government has also invested a lot of energy on word inclusive. at almost 1 decade. Okay, inclusive growth, inclusive this, inclusive that. Okay, equity and this thing, whenever there is a distribution of resource, this is a social and economic justice के context में है, या economic welfare. So whenever you are taking the decision, particularly in the context of distribution of resources, that is about the growth. Okay, it should be based upon the criteria of equity and inclusive. Equity will ensure that weaker section will receive the more, and inclusive will also that the is the same, complementary to each other. Everybody goes simultaneously. It also means that weaker section will require more. Okay, so that's the thing. अरे लिखो, मतलब अब बैठ गए आप, कुछ तो लिखो. Inclusive, okay, right. Equity and inclusiveness should be the principle that are applied in distribution of resources. These are the feature of welfare state, or this is the feature of welfare state. This is the feature of welfare state. Above two principles ensures all around development. Above two मतलब यही है, above two कहाँ ऊपर देख रहे हैं? Above two मतलब equity and inclusiveness. These two principles ensures all around development of all section of society. All around development of every section or all section of society. So it's a holistic development. It is not a lopsided development. Lopsided development is, yes, apex of pyramid is important, but here the bottom of pyramid is also important. But people talk either apex and bottom, never talk about middle. The middle class is suffering always. Huh? Okay, the missing middle of Indian economy. कोट कर लो इनका नाम डाल के कहीं पे ऐसे में, ठीक है? Yes. So ये जो बाकी के पॉइंट है वो लिखना है, ऐसे नहीं है कि इधर लिखवाया नहीं है तो पॉजिटिव डिस्क्रिमिनेशन उधर ही बताया था. ओके, अफर्मेटिव एक्शन, पॉजिटिव डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, सो आपको सब एक ही है, होलिस्टिक, होल पेपर इज वन. Okay, there are no again watertight compartments. So good governance, naturally this philosophy practically will get reflected in the form of policies of positive discrimination, affirmative action, socio-economic justice, okay, redistribution theory, progressive taxation, subsidy, etc., etc. Okay, that's a welfareistic approach. That's a good governance. Come to this transparency. Okay. Transparency, openness, literal meaning is openness. To be discussed later. Okay, bracket में लिखो. हाँ. Separate कल का topic है, half an hour लगेगा इसको. Accountability is answerability. To be discussed later. These two chapters we have to do separately. अरे नहीं, खत्म नहीं हुआ, ये लिखना है अभी थोड़ा सा. ये दो कल करने हैं, इसमें खाली डेफिनेशन लिखना है. Transparency is openness. Accountability is answerability. Answerability plus it involves the enforcement also. We'll discuss tomorrow. And now come to responsive. Yes, what do you understand by responsive government? So it does not respond to the public's demands, public aspirations, okay, public viewpoints. In fact, this is like rigid government versus responsive government. Rigid government is dictatorial government. In fact, forget about responding. They will even not let the public speak only. Okay, तो public को बोलने ही नहीं देंगे तो respond तो बाकी का आ गया. अगर बोलेंगे तो फिर हेवन ही. Okay, heaven is the place for them. Whistleblowing protection वगैरह जो है, okay, that is a sort of an harassment, putting them to the disadvantage, etc. That's not an sign of or a hallmark of good governance. Good governance, because ultimately people is a king. So obviously people's viewpoints, people's perception, people's this thing, articulation, and the government, the good government is one who responds to the demands, aspirations, needs, viewpoints of public. Now, one example that can be given is if you see again in this this case of Syria, African, Arab Spring, etc. In fact, when the Tunisia revolution has started, okay, that is, then in case of Egypt, okay, people have occupied the protest. So what has been the response of democracies there? Okay, they have used the fighter aircrafts, okay, to an extent to quell the public. Now, what the Assad regime is doing with their own people. So obviously, such democracies are not responsive one. Okay, they are quelling the protests. In fact, in case of China also, okay, there is a very fascination to compare the India with the China, but really you cannot compare, because if you see the level of the freedom and satisfaction level of the people there, although the China is growing, but it is a internally which is very hollow, because people's freedom, if it is not getting expressed, obviously it's a sort of a lopsided, and a time will come, something what has happened in case of the USSR, okay, when the Berlin Wall break down, okay, it doesn't took a matter, it's like a broke like a house of cards जिसको बोला जाता है, okay. हाँ, इन्होंने जो पेरिस्ट्रोइका एंड ग्लास आपका हुआ है क्या वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री वगैरह कुछ, okay. Who was the Russian president who was pioneered during this? नहीं, स्टालिन ने तो हाँ एट्रोसिटी की थी, फिर गोर्बाचेव जो था उन्होंने he has opened some freedom and etc. And then we got to know that such developments are not very sustainable development. So in case the democracies where they respond to the public, it's a hallmark of good governance. Like something, say for example, there was Anna Hazare protest for the Lokpal. अब गवर्नमेंट ये भी कर सकता है कि ये 2-4 फाइटर एयरक्राफ्ट लगा के ओके खत्म हो जाएंगे, ओके. गवर्नमेंट हैज और द स्टेट, इंडियन स्टेट डज नॉट हैव कैपेसिटी, ऐसे नहीं है, ओके. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा यहाँ पे रबर बुलेट्स, कैनन वाटर वगैरह वो किया जा सकता है, लाठी चार्ज, टीयर गैस, उसमें भी थोड़ा और ये हो गया तो बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. दैट इज़ अ हॉलमार्क ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी. वी शुड फील एंड टेक प्राइड इन टू दैट. That is a vibrant democracy. Otherwise, government can Naxalite problems खत्म होने में कितना 6 घंटे में India can finish the Naxalite problem. But then along with Naxalite, they can also finish some people also, calling it quote unquote collateral damage has happened, and it happens everywhere करके हो सकता है. But that is that we are the democracy. Okay. In Sri Lanka, the Rajpaksha government, okay, the earlier, how they have finished the problem of this Tamilians वगैरह. Okay, so there are, in fact, still there are like it's been almost now a decade, and human right violation cases are there at the international level. So responsive government is a sign of a good governance. Okay, लेकिन यहाँ पे जो है कभी-कभी हो जाता है, कर्टन के पीछे काफी सारी बातें होती है. Okay, that's obviously the thing that we call. Yes, certainly example of fake encounters, or somewhere the police excesses and power is misused. Okay, they are the cases. But by and large, still like we are responsive. So write one line about it in responsive. Responsive government is responsive is a feature of governance, is a feature of good governance, wherein government respond to people's demands, aspirations, needs, viewpoints. Okay, people's government respond to, obviously respond positively. Respond positively to needs, aspirations, viewpoints, etc. Okay, so this is a sign of, in fact, your good governance, and this is what we said. Status quoist नहीं है. Status quoist में क्या है? Rigidity है. We will not change. This is like this. Okay, so rather than a status quoist, we are flexible. We are accommodative. We are responsive. In fact, if you see the Anna Hazare protest, बाद में ये हुआ था कि इधर से Anna Hazare and people are sitting, and then cabinet is sitting on the other side. That is what we call a democracy. Okay, finally, the government, this UPA government, budged in front of the public pressure. Okay, in fact, this Delhi gang rape, when the streets were occupied in Delhi, finally the government has come up with the Verma committee, and there has been a consequently. Just now I have discussed about this sexual harassment laws, various IPS, IP, क्या है? Sections were revised. Okay, so many things have happened. So that's about the science of democracy. नर्मदा बचाओ में आमिर खान आ गए तो फिर बातें गड़बड़ा जाती है फिर. Because who can protest also in India is important, right? Last, efficiency and effectivity. Efficiency and effectivity. Yes, what's the difference between the two words, efficiency and effectivity? What is efficiency and what is effectivity? What's the difference between the two, if at all? Optimum. And effective is? It should? Results, okay. Yes, you are quite close. Or thoda sa? Yes, any other person? Yes, both of you are right. Okay, right. In fact, first understand, effectivity is always judged against some target. Okay, say for example, I'm keeping the target, maternal mortality rate should be less than 100. Say for example, 5 years back it was 400, and if I am reaching to 125, so I am almost effective. But from 400 to only 300, my target was 100, so I am less effective. So effectivity is with respect to the outcome, and this outcome has to be analyzed with respect to the target kept. That is a result with respect to target. Efficiency is about the use of resource. Okay, how much is the efficiently you are using the resource. For a unit of resource that you put, what is the outcome? So that is about the efficiency. So right, effectivity or effectiveness involves judging the outcome against the target, judging the outcome of public action or public delivery of services, judging the outcome of public action, government decision, public action, governance against the target, against the specific target. So if you are achieving the targets, you are more effective. Efficiency ensures judicious use of resources. Action is said to be efficient. Action is said to be efficient if it produce maximum result with minimum resource. Also, efficiency is just during the process, and this is after the process. Efficiency is sort of a means, effectivity is an end. Okay. समझ में आ रहा है? Efficiency is about resource utilization. Effectivity is about target achieved, result oriented. Okay, so these are the aspects of good governance. Okay, we'll stop here. Tomorrow, some of the aspects of transparency, accountability, citizen charter, we will continue.